Hello, Terry.
Hello.
Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon.
And for those of you who are watching today's episode, good afternoon. Well, maybe good morning to you. I don't know what time zone you may be in. And for those of you who are real estate brokers, the friends that Carrie and I want to engage, if you just happen to be starting your spring break with your little ones, with your big ones, I don't know, and you might just also be at the beach. Well, good for you. We're both kind of jealous. I'm going to be real here. We're both kind of jealous because despite my virtual background, which I'll talk about later, I'm not on spring break.
Me neither.
You neither. Okay, there you go. So, for all of you watching today's episode, we appreciate your loyalty. We certainly appreciate your interest. And for those of you who are kind enough to drop your funny to friendly comments, I certainly know this. Both Carrie and I appreciate that. For those of you who are thinking of dropping mean comments, well, hold back on those, okay? Because we do want to embrace where you're coming from, and maybe we'll convert you into a friend. All right. So, for today's episode, for those of you who may be watching today's episode for the first time, Carrie, why don't you kind of lead off? Why don't you give what I call the 30,000 foot perspective of the business that you own, operate, and run? In other words, what is it? Why does it matter to our partners in the business of real estate so that they can guess what, do more with less time, specifically do more real estate with less time. So there you go, Carrie.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much. So I am the owner of Amplify Transaction Services. We provide transaction coordination services. We help agents to have more time to spend on those things that they want more time to do. That may be spending more time with their families, or that might be getting out and prospecting and being with the clients more to give them more business, whatever that may be. So we can provide a variety of services under the transaction coordination, listing services, marketing, transaction coordination from contract to close. The reason why we started Amplify is, there's, I'm sure as you know, there's a lot of transaction coordination companies out there. There's a lot of TCs out there, but we do things a little bit differently at Amplify. It's kind of in the name. We are trying to amplify your transactions. We believe in having a very specific relationship between the agent and the TC, and that's what creates that amplified transaction for your clients. We want to amplify that transaction so they continue to send you referrals, reach back out to you. It's those experiences that truly help to bring those clients back to you, and we want to provide that experience to your clients. Our service, no, it doesn't replace the relationship that you have with your client, but it adds to that level of service, which then helps. It also gives you more time because you're not focusing on the chasing the signatures on things or following up with lenders. Or processors, or scheduling inspections, things like that. So in a nutshell, that's us, and that's what we do. And we have a true passion for helping and providing the best quality service as possible.
Yeah, yeah. And those lenders, I appreciate that call out. And let's be real, we're calling out those lenders that are sometimes MIA, missing in action, right?
Yes.
And because you know the process of engaging all parties in a real estate transaction, I know this and you know this. Yes, sometimes you got to rattle the cage of those lenders and say, "Hey, heads up, chime in here. We need to know what you are wanting to tell us."
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, I have sometimes where, the lender's waiting on something and they've asked the client, and the client actually is not responding to the lender, but
Right.
I email them and they answer right away. So, that's where we can this is a partnership. It's not only the partnership for the agent, but their entire team that they're working with. And team, I mean lenders, title, attorney, all of those partners that are on our team. We can sometimes help with that communication and make sure that everyone is moving in the right direction.
Exactly. And as you and I joked about in the previous episode, Carrie, the business of real estate, it's a team sport. And just like the metaphor, the analogy of any team sport, you got to have players on the field. You got to have coaches, the front office, the coaches. But more importantly, it's really those coordinators also on the field, on the sidelines, kind of saying, hey, here's the play you got to run. And by the way, Johnny, Jim, make sure you do this, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. So for those of you who are watching, right, if you're enjoying my virtual background, so let me zoom in so you can see a little bit better. Here we go. For those of you who are enjoying my virtual background, heads up, I am not at the beach. This year, I don't have the luxury of going on spring break, especially somewhere warm. But I am manifesting in my head where I want to be. But here's how I'm going to tie it back to Carrie's business. For those of you real estate brokers who are enjoying your spring break, hopefully somewhere warm or somewhere cold, if that's the opposite of what you want. Maybe you want to go skiing, right? California, there's a lot of snow apparently. West Coast, a lot of snow. Here's what I'm trying to share with you. If you are on spring break, if you're enjoying your time with your precious loved ones, your family, immediate and or otherwise friends, the value of having a great relationship with your transaction coordinator resources, guess what? You're doing more real estate with less time and less bother because someone's got your back.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right. Now, Carrie, I'm going to move the conversation now to a question where I'm going to put you on the spot.
It's all right. I'm ready for you.
All right. But because I know you well enough, I know you can swing at this like the champ that you are. So here's the question that I've heard from some other real estate brokers. And that is, well, Carrie, Bill, why should I outsource that activity? Why not just use my in-house resource? Now, before you answer, in the spirit of this damn AI stuff we keep hearing about, right, Carrie?
Yes.
All right. So before you answer, a little whisper, a little secret to you. I actually used ChatGPT to ask the same question. So let's allow you to answer first, and let's compare it back to this damn AI tool as to whether they say the same thing. How you like that?
That sounds fun.
All right.
I'm interested to hear. All right. There's so many reasons why you want to outsource as opposed to having in-house. I will tell you that I am approached by hundreds of TCs that are hired by real estate agents who have zero experience, who are panicking because they are given their role with zero training.
Right
and
on.
So they are panicking because they don't know how to service the agent right. And that is a frustrating thing for the person that they're hiring, number one. And number two, that's frustrating for the person. And then again, that leads back to the experience that their client is getting. That's something that I'm seeing all the time. So the first thing is obviously you're training that person that you're hiring. My guess is that you're not paying an in-house TC the salary to get an experienced person in the door as opposed to having it outsourced. So the experience is just not going to be there. most of anyone that's on our team is extremely experienced, and an agent can come to us right now with their file and we can get up and running within 15 minutes if we wanted to. You're not going to find that when you outsource that. You're not going to get somebody to come in and be able to start within 15 minutes. They just don't, the systems and processes are not there.
Yeah.
The other thing is you're paying a salary. So you are paying your taxes, employment taxes. You're going to have to file certain tax brackets. You have to file your paperwork for all of that. You're not going to have to do that if you outsource it. You're also going to have to give sick time and vacation time and all of that, which then you also have to cover for. Right. When you're working with an outsourced company and with a team, somebody could be there available to cover that vacation where you don't even have to worry about it. Say your team grows also. Your team is growing. You don't have to stop what you're doing and go interview people, because our team can accommodate that, and we would have another TC that we can bring in right away. You don't have to stop dead in your tracks trying to interview. I don't know how many times I've gotten an agent at the end where they've gotten so frustrated that they have made 5 to 10 appointments for transaction coordinators to come in to interview them, and they'd never showed up. So you're taking time out of your day when you could be out spending that time with clients and you're trying to interview, or last minute somebody's sick and they can't make it in. There's all of those things that can really, that's really the benefit, is to outsourcing your transaction coordination.
Wonderful. You hit that answer out of the park. So audience members, let me share with you what this damn AI tool says. When I ask the same question, here's what I'm about to tell you. And by the way, I'm going to paraphrase or summarize.
Sure.
The two things that they really also hammered on, this AI tool, was very consistent, in line with what Carrie shared with all of you. But Carrie, of course, went into so much more depth. The first one is cost. So ChatGPT said, yes, an in-house transaction coordinator is a salaried employee, depending on how you're going to compensate that person. Whereas an outsourced TC charges a fee for each transaction. By the way, that's an example. I'm sure there are other setups that you'll be open to consider, right, Carrie, with your clients, right? So that was one thing that Carrie absolutely hammered on. And the fourth one is availability, right? And this is where it was funny. ChatGPT said an in-house transaction coordinator is usually available during business hours. However, an outsourced one can be much more flexible. And it's pretty consistent with what you said, right? Now, here's the one thing that I'm going to throw down that certainly this AI tool doesn't know. And that's why it's important, as we're learning and hearing about this intelligence crap. You have to embrace it for what it is, but it doesn't know real life situations. So here's the real life situation. What if the in-house TC gets sick?
Right.
And you have to respect that, hey, yes, you got to use your sick time, or you just have to respect the fact you're sick. Don't come into the office to get the rest of us sick. So from where you sit, Carrie, your solution, I think, is much more flexible. You can certainly rotate another one of your TCs on the bench to step in and pinch hit.
Yes, absolutely. Definitely, someone can step in and it's no problem at all.
Bingo. Now, here's my next question. What if in the very fast-paced business of selling and buying homes, right, with a real estate broker, what if they've got clients where maybe they're not gelling with the in-house transaction coordinator? How do you solve that problem?
Yes, then that is another issue, that you hire one person and then it's not working out, and then you have to go through the whole process over again. Whereas if you're not having you're not gelling with your current transaction coordinator, we have other coordinators obviously you could work with. We do try to set that up though in the beginning, and then when we're having conversations with you, kind of figure out how you work, and in order to get that great relationship going. And we also have some other tools that we use during our onboarding process to kind of help to ensure an effective relationship.
Perfect. As we now move into the second half of our conversation, here's my question to you. Do you believe, Carrie, that your business model can complement, kind of plug into the situation where, let's say, you're working directly with a developer, where the developer may not have a real estate team representing them as seller? They're just selling, let's say, their condo units themselves. Could your business model plug into that kind of relationship as well?
Yes, we would definitely be able to assist with that as well. We also have, some companies that are doing like just leasing and property management, and we've been able to assist in that as well.
Perfect. Well, the reason why I'm asking that question is because off the cuff, those are some things that I'm going to go offline to talk to you about. Why? Because yours truly, I'm being considered a preferred lender for a new construction condominium developer.
Oh, wonderful. Congratulations.
Yeah, I know.
Exciting.
And based on what I know, for right now, for whatever their reasons are, they are selling these condo units all by themselves. Why? Because let's be real, supply and demand, right? Not enough supply, and the demand is out there in certain geographies. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. In certain geographies. My next and last question to you is this. Can you elaborate on, for that client relationship that you will add value, you will help that real estate broker or that team of brokers do more real estate with less time, less hassle, less aggravation? How do you engage with them? I'm sure as I looked at your website, you've got several engagement models. It can be per transaction, and there's other alternatives. Can you speak to that?
Yeah. So under contract to close, we have just one service. There's no, it's the same thing all around. Where we get into different levels of services under listing coordination, and that is helping you to get the property listed and ready for sale. And so that we have several different levels of service that we can provide. We have a basic level, we have a middle level, and then we have what we call our amplified service, where we pretty much handle the whole listing from where we can. Obviously, we can't do anything in person, but as far as like getting agreements signed and things like that, we're going through that whole process with the seller. We're communicating with the seller. There's really not much that the agent has to do under that package. We pretty much handle that whole thing. And contract to close, it's one service, and that's it.
Yeah, and from what I remember in our previous conversations, your business has grown to the point where now you are running your business with your team of TCs, your resources, across multiple time zones, correct?
Yes, we are. Definitely.
Yeah. This big world that we live in keeps getting smaller and smaller, doesn't it?
It does. It really does.
Oh my gosh. So, ladies and gentlemen, for those of you who have enjoyed today's conversation, our episode today, and you're wondering, well, how do I get in touch with Carrie? I want to learn more. I'm ready to do this. I'm ready to outsource because I can't keep doing it the same way that I have been. Real simple. As you're watching this part of the video, you can simply scan the QR code in the corner for Carrie. That's how you can reach out to her. And there's more information that's available from the outcome of this QR code. And real estate brokers, this part, self-serving, I got to admit. If you also have, or past tense, had a relationship with a lender That is MIA, missing in action, not as available. How can you get in touch with me? Do the same thing. Just go to the other corner, scan the QR code, and I'm sure both myself and Carrie, as your partners in the business, would be ready, willing, and able to engage with you, right?
Absolutely. Definitely. And I would like to say too, it's best that you don't wait until you have a file. That's something that is common that happens is the agent, they reach out for information and then they kind of wait a little bit until they have a contract. It makes a much smoother process for the agent if they reach out before they have that contract. We certainly can get started very quickly, but it makes for a much smoother process and makes the agent feel um, a lot better about the process when we have that time, because we like to do an onboarding call and be able to go through, their kind of consistency of things that they like to do in their transaction. Every agent is different. And so they have different ways that they like to manage their transactions. And so we like to go through all of those things before we jump into a file. And so it leads to less questions during the first transaction if we can actually jump on a call to kind of go through those things.
Oh yeah, yeah. The start of any great working relationship is at the very get-go, set the proper expectations. Again, real estate is a team sport. You got to know who's going to work the play.
Right.
And as the owner of all of the coordinators on the sideline, you have to manage all of this group of people on the field, right?
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah. So, audience members, thank you for sharing your time with us to watch and listen to today's episode. Until we see each other in the next episode. And by the way, for those of you who are watching this as a recording, if you're wondering, this is pretty cool stuff. How do I engage with you real time? Here's my answer to you. By the way, I've already teased Carrie about it. Don't be surprised, guys, if in an upcoming episode, we do this live stream where you get to chime in, ask questions, drop your friendly comments, hold back on the not so friendly. We don't want those as much. So again, Carrie, thank you for sharing your precious time with me and our audience members today. And until we see each other in the next episode.
Sounds good. Thank you.